the first story on the agenda, it's Breonna Taylor. The cops were not only basically acquitted, but they were actually deemed justified in their actions by the court. I wish I could say I was surprised. The police exist to protect the ownership in corporate class. Now, as you all know at this point, the ownership in corporate class usually achieve their gains, whether it's capital or real estate or whatever. Their assets have been given to them or handed to them or taken from someone else through corrupt means, through the suppression of poor people, people of color, and the like. Through the middle class, even they're sucking out the labor class, the middle class, and they become impoverished. And it's a cyclical thing. So now the police are empowered by those same corrupt elite. And then, of course, we know they're given immunity by those same corrupt elite. So, of course, they're going to behave in a corrupt manner because it's not only allowed, it's encouraged. It's encouraged. So, of course, we are going to expect, at least we should, be expecting corruption to do what corruption does in instances like these. So it's no surprise to me, of course, that Breonna Taylor was able to get literally shot in her sleep. While cops lied, right? They said they knocked on the door. They didn't knock on the door. They said they announced themselves. They didn't announce themselves. This because the only one who said that they knocked on the door and quote unquote announced themselves were them. One person even. What's even more interesting, of course, is the fact that you had a no-knock warrant. So you're going to tell me that, yeah, we went out of our way to go get a no-knock warrant in order to knock on the door and announce ourselves. In plain clothes, no less. Now, of course, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend at the time ended up shooting at one of the officers. And of course, he was taken into custody, but he was let go. Why? Because they didn't follow. The warrant was basically a faulty. Matter of fact, we're gonna get into that in a second. That's a whole different discussion. But the warrant and the way they handled the situation, which is you did a no knock, you didn't announce yourselves, and you were in plain clothes. You have a right to defend yourself. The judge or whoever probably, it probably was an arraignment hearing because I doubt that it went to, if he got a decent lawyer, he probably didn't even have to go deep into the justice process, the due process that he would be entitled to. And of course, they probably also, if we're being honest, they probably let him go because they knew what was coming next with Breonna Taylor's killers. But nonetheless, he was let go. Because if he shot the cops after they announced themselves, that is an entirely different story than if he shot at the cops in plain clothes who didn't knock on the door and who didn't announce themselves. Now, some of you may be curious because there's been these rumors, right? That of course, because a black person has been killed by the cops, now all of a sudden those people, you know exactly what I'm talking about, want to claim that Breonna Taylor is what? Oh, she was a drug dealer. That's what it was. Her parents, she was out there putting it up her nose and selling drugs and da-da-da-da. That's why. It wasn't for no reason. They didn't have the wrong address. Actually, they did have the wrong address. Well, they changed their story, right? Originally, the claim was that, oh, we were there for her boyfriend. No. Actually, they were supposedly there for her ex-boyfriend. Actually, nah, the ex-boyfriend lived 10 miles away, and their story is that he was getting packages, drugs, sent to Breonna Taylor's house, where her boyfriend clearly lives at too, because he was the one who shot the cops. 10 miles away. So they were saying, oh, that's what it was. We expected that they had packages. So you get a no-knock warrant and open fire in the middle of the night. You know the only officer who got in trouble? The officer who shot into the house next door by accident. That's the only officer who's getting in any trouble. The ones who literally committed a murder are about to walk free. And this is where I'm sure some of you have seen people say Breonna Taylor's wall got more justice than Breonna Taylor did. And that's not even a joke. It's not even a joke. What's up, Glory? I see you in there. I was wondering where you was at. I'm like, I know Glory is around here somewhere. But when I tell you all this story, you'll understand exactly why those cops got off. This story is not something that I found out or reported on. I mean, I'm going to report on it because I just saw it. But I didn't make this up. This isn't some made up story from some random individual on the ground. This is PBS reporting this, the local PBS station. Buckle in, people. The 3 plainclothes officers who broke down Breonna Taylor's door in the no-knock midnight raid that would end her life were part of a new Louisville Metro Police Department unit called Place-Based Investigations. Yeah, place-based investigations. Oh, yeah, so you know this is about to be great. Louisville Metro Police created the squad to address what officials described as systemically violent locations. So what do you think that they actually meant? What do you think? It's because black people live there. Let's be very clear about that. So they created a unit to go and raid black people's homes. The officers had obtained the warrant to Taylor's home because of her connection to an ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, a renter at a suspected drug house located on Elliott Avenue within the Vision Russell revitalization area, nearly 10 miles away. So effectively, not even near her house. Hell, depending on how jurisdictions work out there, I know if in Miami, if you go 10 miles away, you're literally in a completely different police department's jurisdiction. Depending on what town you're in. You might skip 2 police department jurisdictions driving 10 miles away. Real talk. That's why I said they did have the wrong house. I think they changed their story when they got to court because they were there. They probably got the wrong address thinking that that was the ex-boyfriend's house. And they had to change this. Oh, we suspected. You suspected that the ex-boyfriend was getting packages sent to Breonna Taylor's home where her boyfriend lived? Now, I know that some boyfriends can be very understanding, but I seriously doubt that young man would allow packages, drugs specifically from her ex-boyfriend, to be mailed to the home and put their lives in danger. Just saying. Breonna Taylor's family lawyers earlier this month included all the details in an amended complaint linking her murder with a federally funded West Louisville revitalization plan called Vision Russell. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read that part again. Breonna Taylor's family's lawyers earlier this month included all of these details in an amended complaint linking her murder with a federally funded West Louisville revitalization plan called Vision Russell. So let's be clear about something. That was a very verbose way to say they raided Breonna Taylor's home with a no-knock warrant that they got from the city to basically find, they target black people in black homes to get them out so that the homes can be bought by development and destroyed to gentrify the area. That's what they're trying to say. In the month prior to Taylor's murder, the lawsuit states that 8 homes along Elliott Avenue were demolished as a part of that vision plan. Shortly after, Law Mar Inc., the entity that owned the property, began making arrangements to transfer the deed of 2424 Elliott Avenue to Louisville and Jefferson County Land Bank. On June 5th, 2020, the Land Bank acquired the property for $1. When the layers are peeled back, the origin of Breonna Taylor's home being raided by police starts with the political need to clear out a street for a large real estate development project and finishes with a newly formed rogue police unit violating all levels of policy, protocol, and policing standards. The amended lawsuit concludes. The real estate project linked to the raid that led police to shoot Taylor and kill her is partially backed with HUD's Choice Neighborhoods program, the same federal funding source that is galvanizing revitalization efforts in Sharpswood and around Bartram Village here in Philadelphia. The plan looks a lot like those projects and other projects that reshaped Philadelphia since the 1990s. City officials and leaders involved in the Vision Russell plan dismissed the lawyer's claim as a bold leap and a gross mischaracterization in an interview. A follow-up published in Courier Journal the next day quoted local nonprofit leaders who explained that they have been working closely with the Russell community and that the residents would like to see the area cleaned up. But examining connections between these types of revitalization efforts to gentrification, systemic racism, violence, and increased policing and criminalization isn't outrageous. It is important and absolutely necessary if we are committed to thinking about racism and systemically. Think about that, people. Think about that. Why did the judge let them go? Because he believed, and this is what they said, that they said they were justified. The actions by those police officers were justified. Hours after Kentucky grand jury brought no charges against Louisville police for Breonna Taylor's death and protesters took to the streets, authorities said 2 officers were shot. Bruh, I'm just like, I'm reading this and it's so infuriating. It's so infuriating. I don't even know if there are any words to describe how I'm feeling right now, because all I can think about are the people who constantly tell me, oh, it's only class. It's only class. No, it's never only class. The end result is to benefit a specific class, and that's what you mean. However, to get to that end result, you have to detrimentally affect the lives of any minority, any marginalized group, and then, of course, make it about class alone. That's what you'll sell it as. Even as they're reporting this, and don't get me wrong, that author did a fantastic job reporting that. But it's part of a revitalization effort. No, call it what it is. It's gentrification after redlining. redlining started by FDR's New Deal. Redlining that was exacerbated by the drug war. The last case of redlining was found in 2015. Jim Crow law, 2015. And now it's Louisville's turn to get some of that good old gentrification liberation or revitalization. In other words, cheap real estate for developers to buy that puts white people in a more convenient spot of the community, so they don't have to commute from those faraway suburbs anymore. People will sit here and look at me and if there was ever an example of police or fascists who defend fascism, they're the security guards of fascism. If there was ever an example, this is literally it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. And I hate to break it to some of you who are back to blue. Blue lives matter. Hate to break it to you, but this isn't even close to the first example of something like this happening. Do you know that? Right here, South Florida, Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, the Broward County Sheriff's Department was found guilty of manufacturing crack and entrapping people to get black people out of downtown Fort Lauderdale, and they achieved their goal. What they did was they manufactured the crack, of course, did what they had to do. They would sell it. They would, act like the plug, if you will, and they would arrest them almost immediately. Now, of course, they had to know they were going to get caught, but it doesn't matter, because if I go to jail for 60 days, maybe even 90, depending on if you're renting or owning. Most likely renting, of course. If I go to jail for 60 to 90 days, I'm spending money on my lawyer. I can't afford to pay my rent. I'm not going to work, so I'm fired. I have a drug charge, at least pending. So I can't provide for my family. So we have to move somewhere cheaper, less expensive, hopefully. But I beat the case in 90 days. Except I lost everything. Everybody got released from that. They all obviously, some of them got paid for it. But now downtown Fort Lauderdale doesn't look anything like what it used to. It was colorful, had black businesses, black homeowners, black renters. And now, as part of a developmental effort, as part of a gentrification effort, the police did what fascist security guards do. They behave like fascists. So I'm not surprised to hear this story. What I'm surprised about is how many people, whenever I heard, I'm going to be honest with you all right now. Whenever I heard that 2 cops were shot, normally I would be like, man, that sucks. I don't know anything about those officers. They have families, But then I started to look up what cops in Louisville have spoken out about the behavior of the actions taken by those 2 police officers that shot and killed Breonna Taylor. And I encourage you all to look it up too. And you'll find exactly what I found. None of the cops spoke up. None of the cops condemned those actions. None of them. None of the police force. No police force that I saw in Kentucky. No police leadership. in Kentucky. Even last night, as I heard the verdict and found out that those 2 police officers were going to be set free. Not only that, were they not found, they were, like, what makes it frustrating is that they were found justified in their actions. They were found justified in their actions. And none of those good cops I hear about were in the streets. None of them. None of those good cops I hear about were making tweets calling that corrupt justice system out. None of those good cops were anywhere to be found. What did the JFK say? When you make those who make peaceful revolutions impossible, make violent revolutions inevitable, or something to that extent. What did y'all think was going to happen? Seriously, what did you think was going to happen? I feel bad for the families of those cops. But I want to be very clear, I don't feel bad for the cops. I don't. Not anymore. There used to be some semblance of humanity where, like, yeah, it's more nuanced, and it is to a certain degree more nuanced, but it is very simple at this point. The federal government is funding an initiative to gentrify the area, helping to fund, the initiative to gentrify the area that Breonna Taylor lived in. And there was a police force that was put together specifically to assist in that gentrification effort. And that police force was given a no-knock warrant based off of clearly wrong information and killed a black woman in her sleep and are now being let go after being their actions were brushed aside as justified, because everything I just told you, everything I just said demonstrates that's exactly what they were there to do. They were there to remove black people from their homes by any means necessary. And it is very simple. Either you support justice, actual justice, and condemn corruption and fascist behavior, or you don't. There is no nuance to that. There is no badge that should be able to protect you from murder. And if you are one of the cops who got shot, be thankful that you still have your life, because most of the people y'all shoot don't get that luxury, because we don't walk around bulletproof vests on. At this point, they're lucky that more cops are not getting shot right now. Do I condone violence? Absolutely not. Do I understand it? Abso-fucking-lutely. I do. Y'all, bro, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Y'all killed this woman over a gentrification effort. But Blue Lives Matter, though. If you like that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa, don't forget to like the video and smash that subscribe button. Want access to members only live streams, behind the scenes footage, and other premium content? Well, you can endorse us on Rockman Premium, become a patron through Patreon, or you can sign up for the MCSC Premium membership through YouTube. All the links are in the description below. But hey, more than anything else, always remember,
find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.
peace.